More volleyball records have been written into the books as the team wraps up their regular season and moves into their first ever A10 tournament. Hello, I'm Tegan Lamont.
And I'm Dana Pecora. Both basketball teams put up hard-fought battles in their opening games. Could this mean a bright future? You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explore Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. We have a bit of a men's basketball special for you this week, as we have part two of my interview with Coach Ashley Howard.
And later, SportsLine producer Steve Silvestro sits down with some basketball experts for a special homecoming edition of Sports Chat.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top three.
Number 1. 3 field hockey players earned Atlantic 10 recognition following the conclusion of their season. Sisters Logan O and Willow O, along with Amanda Chapin, were among the 3 that were recognized. Senior Logan O earned a spot on the All-Atlantic 10 second team, while her sister, freshman Willow O, earned All-Rookie Team honoree. Junior Chapin was also recognized as she was named to the All-Academic team.
Number 2. Junior Kate Wood made her mark in LaSalle history last weekend. The setter surpassed 1,000 assists for the season against Duquesne on Friday, November 2nd. Wood had 37 assists against the Dukes and was named A10 Player of the Week for her efforts. She currently has the highest assists per set average in the A10 with 11.1. Wood has over 3,000 assists in her LaSalle career, which ranks her 3rd in program history.
Number 3. Homecoming is back this weekend, and we are #believing. This Saturday, November 10th, the men will take on Lafayette in their home opener, and the LaSalle students, faculty, and alumni will be here cheering them on. The game is slated to start at 3 p.m., but the festivities will go on throughout the day. We'll be talking more homecoming action a little bit later in the episode. Well, that's all we have for headlines. Now let's see how our athletes did this week.
Volleyball held their last home game of the year against Duquesne. Steven Silvestro has the coverage.
On Friday, November 2nd, the LaSalle volleyball team faced off against Duquesne for the final home game of the season. The Explorers dominated the beginning of the game, starting with a 14-2 run to open up the first set. This was behind 4 service aces, 2 from sophomore Samantha Graver, and a pair from junior Catherine Wood and senior Jensen Charitz. Junior Devin Kaur would seal the first set with 6 kills. The second set was very tight, with neither team able to pull away for more than a 3-point lead, as they swapped points back and forth until a service ace from freshman Elizabeth Osborne gave the Explorers a lead they wouldn't forfeit in a 25-28 win. In the third set, junior Catherine Woods would assist the Explorers to a safe 25-15 win to complete the sweep against Duquesne and avenge their earlier loss in the season. For SportsLine, I'm Steven Silvestro.
Men's basketball started their season with a trip to Big 5 rival Temple. The game saw the Explorers get out-rebounded 50-28 en route to the first loss of the season for the Blue and Gold, with a final score of 75-67. LaSalle was led by Shaggy Dees, who put up 23 points. Freshman Jared Kimbrough was the top rebounder for LaSalle, with 7 in just 10 minutes of game time. Nate Pierre-Louis hauled in a double-double for the Owls with 14 points and 13 rebounds. LaSalle shot just 35% from the floor in the loss. The poor shooting performance was highlighted in the play of senior guard Pookie Powell, who shot just 5 of 14 from the floor for 14 points.
Women's basketball faced Howard for their season home opener. Here's Isaiah Clark with the coverage.
Women's basketball competed against Howard in its season opener. The first quarter was a back-and-forth affair where both teams spent time in the lead. LaSalle's first basket of the season was made by senior Jaron Reese. The Explorers went on a 6-2 run in the final minutes as Deja King hit a last-second shot to put the Explorers up 14-11 and close out the first quarter. The Blue and Gold started hot in the second quarter, going on a 9-0 run in the first 2 minutes. Howard would battle back to take a 1-point lead, but LaSalle would regain the lead, hitting another buzzer beater before halftime, making the score 25-24 at the half. Howard would take control in the third quarter, taking advantage of turnovers by the Explorers and going perfect at the charity stripe. They would hold LaSalle to only 9 points over the whole of the quarter and go into the final frame with a 46-37 lead. But once again, the Explorers would hit a shot before the buzzer. LaSalle would start its comeback bid in the fourth quarter, going on a run led by sophomore Rachel Brown and her 6 points as she went 4 of 5 from the free throw line. Explorers took the lead with a shot from junior Selena Miller, making the score 49-48. They would lose the lead again before shots from Reese and King would make the score 53-52. The score would be tied 53-53 with 35 seconds left before sophomore Michelle Nichols hit one of her free throws to put LaSalle up 54-53. But in the final seconds, Howard would make a layup and free throws to make the final score 57-54. What head coach Mount McGilvray had to say after the game.
So obviously that's a disappointing ending to that game, and clearly wasn't the prettiest basketball for either team. But as we build things here at LaSalle, we've been asking our team to be competitive, to battle for loose balls, to battle for rebounds, to give extra effort on everything they do. And I can't find much to be disappointed about in that regard. Really pleased with the way they fought. 24 offensive rebounds. That's outstanding. We won the battle on the boards. I thought we kept the ball girls down either end busy mopping the court up with our sweat because we were always on the floor. So I was really proud of that effort, and that's going to translate to better things.
Shalina Miller had 12 rebounds, while Kayla Spurl had 10. The Explorers are now 0-1 on the season. For SportsLine, I'm Isaiah Clark.
Men's swimming suffered a disastrous defeat to Penn with a score of 147-84. The men were able to steal 2 races as freshman Zachary Walbert took home the prize in the 200-yard fly. This was Walbert's 3rd consecutive meet where he won the 200 fly. Junior Christoph Ross followed up with a win in the 200-yard breaststroke, clearing the field over 9 seconds. The Explorers fell just short in both the 200 freestyle and 200 backstroke, as Norman Gregory and Ian Vettner finished only a quarter second short. In diving, junior Blake Griffith struggled against a duo of Quakers as he finished 3rd in both the 1-meter and 3-meter dives.
Women's swimming and diving team lost a close meet against Rhode Island on Friday. The Explorers won multiple events, but in the final 200 free relay, the Rams team finished 43 hundredths of a second before the Explorers winning the meet 151-148. Women's swimming and diving also competed against UPenn on Wednesday. Freshman Phoebe Shea won both the 1-meter and 3-meter diving events for LaSalle. She bested fellow Explorer and 2nd place finisher Caitlin Smikowski in the 1-meter while beating out 2 Quakers in the 3-meter. Another freshman, Sarah Rosetto, won the 200 individual medley, while junior Carrie Horan won the 200 breast. Despite these Explorer wins, UPenn took the overall meet with 133 points over LaSalle's 99.
The men's rowing team traveled to Virginia to compete in the 6th largest rowing regatta in the United States at the head of the Occoquan. The novice 4-boat jump started the Explorers' success, achieving 1st place out of 13 with a time of 17 minutes, 42 seconds. The boat consisted of 4 rowers, freshman Carson Brown, Dean Molina, Jimmy McKierney, and Sean Donahoe. The men's collegiate junior varsity 4-boat also found success, finishing 3rd of 6 with a time of 17 minutes, 34 seconds.
The women's rowing team also competed in 3 races at the head of the Occoquan. The women's collegiate varsity 8+ boat fell in the middle of the pack, finishing 7th of 15 teams, with a time of 18 minutes and 19 seconds. In this race, LaSalle managed to best boats from Loyola, Maryland, Penn State, and Pittsburgh. The junior varsity 8+ boat also finished in the middle of the pack. The Explorers finished 3rd of 5 boats, finishing behind 2 boats from Georgetown, with a time of 18 minutes and 50 seconds. Finally, the junior varsity 4+ boat finished in 2nd of 3 boats. The Explorers finished just behind Georgetown, but ahead of Penn State with a time of 20 minutes and 50 seconds. That's it for this week's recaps, but stick around for more of our homecoming edition of SportsLine. Welcome back. I sat down with men's basketball coach Ashley Howard to talk about the upcoming season. Here's part 2 of the interview. You talked about the coaching staff. There's obviously a lot of new guys here. Can you tell me a little bit about Coach Johnson and Coach Griffin and what you see in them and what makes them such big assets to this team?
Well, Coach Johnson is a guy that has a ton of experience at the Division I level. He coached at Indiana, coached at Louisville, right. 2 big-time programs. So, you know, this is a guy that, like myself, competed at the highest level in recruiting, competed at the highest level in games where, you know, you're preparing for Sweet 16s and Elite 8s with that type of pressure on the line, right? And he's a great coach. He brings a lot to the table in terms of just his experience in player development and understanding how to relate to players and get the most out of them every day. So he brings that to the table. And Coach Griffin is a young, energetic, enthusiastic coach. He's a tremendous recruiter. He has great energy, and he's one of my former players. So he understands me probably more than anybody else on our staff, and that's what both of those guys bring to the table. And you know, they're 2 different, you know, personalities that complement each other very well.
Yeah. We talked about the guys that are new. There's obviously a big name guy that you kept on the staff in Donnie Carr.
Yep.
Obviously very newsworthy to all the LaSalle fans.
Yep.
What did you see in him that made you think, yeah, we need to keep him around? He's a guy that we need to have for the future of this program.
Well, when I knew that I was in the running for the LaSalle job, Donnie was the only person that I knew, like, yo, this dude's coming with me. Right. Because of his connection to LaSalle. Hall of Famer, great player here. And when you're building a program, you have to show a commitment to the guys that help build the program. Yep. And Donnie put blood, sweat, and tears into LaSalle. He's one of the all-time greatest players to play here, good friend of mine. And he's a guy in the Philadelphia basketball community that has an unbelievable amount of credibility, right? So, you know, to have an opportunity to have Donnie here, a guy that, you know, wore the blue and gold with pride, was a great player here, is something that gives our players someone every day to be around that takes an unbelievable amount of pride in wearing the blue and gold and helping to get this program back to where we all want it to be.
Gotcha. So the preseason A10 rankings came out. It's got us in the bottom 3. How do you think that fuels the guys? How do you think that gets them a little fired up for the season, trying to prove people wrong? And what are your expectations and goals for the year?
I mean, I think we should be at the bottom half of the league because we haven't proven anything.
Right.
You know, do I think we can get to the point where we're better than that? I do. But right now, we're unproven. I'm a new head coach. We got a brand new coaching staff. So this is all new, right? You know, as competitors, I'm sure that our guys look at that and they say, you know what, we want to prove that we're better. But how are we going to do that, right? The way we do that is by trusting this process that we're trying to build every single day. And our team is a lot better as a collective unit than we are as individuals, right? So the only guy that we had recognized by the Atlantic 10 was Pookie Powell, and rightfully so. He averaged 17 points a game last year. So he's our only guy that's really returning that has any equity, right? So now everybody else, they're unproven. And you know, what we're trying to get these guys to buy into is like, listen, like, yo, all of you guys are good individual players, even Pookie. But Pookie's a lot better now if he trusts his teammates, if he buys into what we're trying to do, if we can become a team that collectively is a force, I think that's what gives us an opportunity to kind of prove our naysayers wrong. And we're building those habits every day to try to become that team.
Yep. So we've talked about you, we've talked about the coaching staff. You touched on the players a little bit there, but now I want to delve into them a little bit.
Okay.
You made Tracy Carter and Pookie your 2 captains for the season.
Yeah.
What do you see in those 2 guys that makes you believe that they can handle a leadership role and can lead this team to the areas that you guys want to get to?
Well, Pookie Powell, just so everybody knows, he did not have to come back to school this year.
Right.
Dude could be overseas, playing in the NBA Development League, making money. He decided that he wanted to come back to LaSalle, and that's his commitment to wanting to help turn this program around and end his career on a positive note. So just that loyalty to the university and to the program warranted him being a captain. Now, every day, he's learning what it's going to take now in this new program to be in a leadership capacity, right? And he's working his butt off every single day to be that leader for us. Tracy Carter is the one player on our team that his teammates pretty much voted him captain because of his leadership qualities, because of his work ethic, because of his commitment to holding people accountable, right? And that's something that I'm very excited about with Tracy. He's coming from Marquette. He played on great teams at Marquette in the Big East. He started for them, so he's a guy that has some valuable experience. Now he's another guy that's learning our program and learning how to be a leader in our program based on just reinforcing all the core values that our coaching staff is implementing.
Yeah. So you talked about Tracy and his transferring in from Marquette. That's becoming kind of a staple here at LaSalle, it seems like. You brought in 2 transfers and 1 grad transfer. What do you think that style of, not recruiting, but bringing in talent, how do you think that helps build the program?
I think what it does is it gives you an opportunity to bring in higher level talent that you may not necessarily be able to recruit out of the high school level, right? And you also bring in guys who have played at the highest level and are humbled a little bit based on their experience at the highest level, and now they're coming down to LaSalle hungry, ready to prove to people that they're a lot better than what they showed at the previous institution, right?
Yeah.
So with David and Scott, those guys are talented, right? Those guys should be, in years to come, 2 of the better players in this program and in the Atlantic 10 Conference. But those guys are also now humbled and excited about being in a role where they're looked at as leaders, where they're looked at as guys that can make major contributions. And we're very fortunate to have those 2 guys. I'm excited about them both.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different guys, a lot of new faces for LaSalle fans. There's only 4 or 5 guys that really played extended minutes for us last year. So what can you tell us, or what to expect from the guys like David Beatty and Chetty Mosley and the freshman class that we brought in?
So all of those guys are talented, right? They can all score the ball. Dave is a big time athlete. He should be a tenacious defender for us and a guy that brings energy on both sides of the ball. Chetty is a guy who, coming from BU, has a reputation of a scorer. So he's a guy that can fill it up quick. He's a guy that also has experience. He's a very smart player. I think he understands the importance of, team concept. So in this 5th year for him, he's a guy that, also came to LaSalle, really to help us build this program, not just come to LaSalle just to kind of get numbers in his last year.
Right.
He's a guy that's taken a lot of pride in reinforcing our core values every day. And, he's been very, very helpful for us that way.
Yeah. How about any of the freshmen? Are there any freshmen that you see right now that you think can make a significant impact, maybe not fill up the stat sheet with playing time and that type of thing? But
Well, I think Jarrett Kimbrough and Ed Croswell both are guys that are going to get a great opportunity this year. Jarrett Kimbrough is a player that I'm, super excited about, man. He's athletic. He's going to be a guy that brings a lot of excitement to Gola Arena on game day. He's a high flyer. He'll get a lot of dunks. He's a versatile defender. He can defend everybody. So he's a guy that I think the Explorer entourage is going to love, man, because He's an athletic guy that can make some exciting plays. Ed Croswell for us is going to be that guy that's the enforcer. You know what I mean? Like he's a rebounder. He's a tough, strong, physical presence that we don't have. So both of these guys are different, but both of these guys are both very valuable to our team. And I'm excited to see how both of these guys develop for us.
Coach, before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to send a message to the fans and the students of LaSalle. Anything that you want to tell them leading up to this this opener against Temple?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, we need your support. We need our student support. We need our fans to come out every home game, make Tom Gola Arena one of the most difficult places to play in college basketball. There's no reason why Gola shouldn't be rocking every game. And we promise that if you guys come and show us that support, that we're going to do our best to play hard, play together, and leave it all out there on the floor for 40 minutes every single time we step on the court for the blue and gold.
Awesome. Coach, thank you very much. Just want to send it back to me and Dana on the desk.
We wish Coach Ashley Howard and the team all the best this upcoming season. But here at SportsLine, we are very excited for this weekend's homecoming game. Steven Silvestro has a special homecoming edition of Sports Chat to preview what's to come. Take a look.
Hello and welcome to Sports Chat. We're back, and that's just fantastic. We're going to be talking about men's basketball as their upcoming game against Lafayette. As homecoming is back. Dave's happy over there.
I'm very excited
about that. So LaSalle started the season off slowly. They lost to Temple in the first game, 75-67. What kind of things did you see in that game that they need to improve upon?
I think we've always been a team, since I've been here, we've always been a team that lives and dies by the three. You can see they were 23% in the first half from 3-point, and I saw that Pookie was 0 for 3 in the first half. So I think at some point we're going to have to learn how to make threes and, just be consistent with them at least.
Yeah, something about LaSalle basketball is they do a great job of keeping up in the first half of games, but then they seem to always fall flat, especially in the last 2 minute of games, which we saw against Temple.
Thank you, Selena. I just realized I forgot to introduce Selena. She is also here, collegiate chief editor-in-chief. I don't know what it's called.
Whatever it's called.
But they're going against Lafayette, who also lost in their first game to overtime to St. Peter's. But we're coming off there. They've been an average team, Lafayette, the last few seasons. What do you think the Explorers need to key in on to take this game?
I think, well, like I said, we live and die by the three, and this team also looks like it lives and dies by the three. Their leading scorer, Justin Jaworski, was 6 for 11 from 3. I don't really know how much of that came in overtime, but I know that's really good, and regardless of what it is. So, I mean, we just have to work on our guards guarding their guards and actually, putting up the best matchup we can think of, because I know we have guards that can actually, put up, good defensive matchups, but they just have to bring it when it comes to homecoming.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Dave that defense is key here, but also since it's homecoming, the Explorers really need to channel that home energy. There is no such thing as a crowd, like a LaSalle crowd at homecoming. Everybody is super hype, and they really get into it, and I think that energy carries them forward, especially because last year we saw how much better they did at home. I think 10-4 at home compared to on the road. So I think being at home is key to winning this game against Lafayette.
Yeah. The Explorers definitely knew how to protect the goal of this last year. And one thing, that their offense was the biggest difference between home and away. They scored, on average, 10 more points in games at home than they were in any other arena. But one thing that they don't have from last year is both center Tony Washington, who graduated playing in the Netherlands, and B.J. Johnson, who graduated and is playing in the G League. What two big men do you think need to step up for the Explorers this season?
I think Miles Brookins really is the guy who's going to come in and fill that role, fill that missing gap in, is now that they're more of a small team and a young team. I think he's going to be the presence that the Explorers need. Yeah,
I agree with Selena. I love Miles. I know Miles personally. I love him as a person. I also think that the freshmen should, it's a lot to ask for, but I think they should step up. Ed Croswell and Jared Kimbrough, they looked okay for their first start against, in a collegiate game. They looked all right, but, homecoming, I think they're going to feed off that energy and bring a little bit more to their game, since they know that they have a lot to play for. So I feel like those two are gonna bring it a little bit up for homecoming and actually like ball out.
Yeah, and we have a new coach, obviously. We got Ashley Howard, but he also brought along a lot of transfers that are playing this year. We got senior captain and starter at guard was Tracy Carter. They have David Beatty, who transferred in from South Carolina, and they also got Chidi Mosley as a graduate student. Of those 3 players, which transfer do you think needs to have the biggest impact for this team?
I'm about to say Tracy. TC is a type of player that you saw in the first game that he's just a solid guard and he can actually, you know, just make plays, and he's the type of guy that you can rely on when he's in the game. So I'm about to go with Tracy.
Yeah, I also agree with Tracy. I've heard a lot of hype about him leading up to the season. I think he had a good showing in their opening game against Temple, so I think we can expect to see a lot from him this season.
All right, let's get to our game predictions for this week. It was a tight one, but I expect the Explorers to come out with firing. Their offense was a little weak against Temple, so I think they'll take this one 79-68. Selena?
I am a little more skeptical. I am in favor of Lafayette, 75-60. I think the Explorers have a lot of issues. They're going through a bit of a rough patch, and I'm not so sure that they're going to take home a win this weekend.
No homecoming pride. I'm going with the Explorers. It's homecoming. It's my last game here. I'm expecting everyone to ball out, especially Shaggy, so I'm excited for sure.
All right. I would like to thank Dave and Selena for coming on to this panel. The game is Saturday, November 10th, 3 o'clock. You can catch it going to the Tom Goal Arena, or you can find it from Go Explorers at ESPN Plus app. All right, back to Dana and Tegan.
Thank you, Steve, Selena, and Dave. We are excited to see what the Explorers will do, and we wish Coach Howard and the team the best of luck on Saturday.
Absolutely. That just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Twitter at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For Stephen, Isaiah, Selena, Dave, and our entire SportsLine team, I'm Tegan Lamont.
And I'm Dana Pecora. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.